Good afternoon. It's Saturday, the 14th of February. I'm Erin Viner, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Israel Beiteinu leader and Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman today slammed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for his handling of Operation Protective Edge, saying that there was no Israeli victory in the conflict, only loss. Speaking at a cultural event in Beersheba, Lieberman said that Hamas continues to control the Gaza Strip and to threaten Israel, insisting that the government should not have let Hamas fighters out of their underground bunkers but buried them underground instead. He went on to say that it is inconceivable that there is a war every 2 years, just as it is inconceivable that there are elections every 2 years. The foreign minister also claimed that the prime minister's ruling Likud party came to power twice because of his own Israel Beiteinu faction. Meanwhile, at another cultural event in Ramat Isha in the north, member of Knesset Sheli Yachimovich of the Zionist Union Party said that she believes the faction's chairman, Isaac Herzog, will succeed in forming a coalition even if he gets only one more seat than Likud. She added that Netanyahu's controversial slated address to the U.S. Congress was organized ahead of the elections for political reasons and would damage Israel's relations with the United States. Two Israel Prize judges removed from their posts by Prime Minister Netanyahu have agreed to return after he retracted his objection to their participation. Literary professors Avner Holtzman and Ariel Hirschfeld were disqualified along with film producer Chaim Sharir due to their political views this week in an unprecedented move that elicited widespread criticism and the resignation of the other judges on the panel. It also led several contenders for the prize in literature to bow out, including best-selling author and political commentator David Grossman. The Prime Minister reversed his decision to remove the judges yesterday after Attorney General Yehuda Weinstein called on him to refrain from taking such steps with the elections looming. Following the announcement and after receiving formal requests from the Ministry of Education, Holtzman and Hirschfeld agreed to return to the panel for the literary prize. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei sent secret correspondence to U.S. President Barack Obama in recent weeks in response to the letter from the American leader in October. According to the Journal, the letter was respectful but non-committal to Obama's suggestion that bilateral cooperation in battling Islamic State forces in Iraq and Syria should a nuclear deal be reached with Iran. The report also said that this was the second letter from Khamenei since Obama took office in 2009. The full contents of the latest correspondence remain unclear, and the White House has declined to comment on it. News of the communique comes as Iran and world powers are working toward the March 31st deadline to reach an agreement on Tehran's nuclear program. The Argentinian prosecutor who inherited Alberto Nisman's high-profile case against President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner has reaffirmed the accusations, formally renewing the investigation into whether she helped Iranian officials cover up their alleged role in the 1994 bombing of a Jewish community center in Buenos Aires. One top government official is calling the move a judicial coup. Newly appointed prosecutor Gerardo Pelicita's decision to go forward with the case is significant because it sets the stage for a close examination of the investigation that Nisman was building before he was found dead on January 18th, one day before he was scheduled to elaborate on his allegations to the Argentinian Congress. Nisman accused Fernández, Foreign Minister Hector Timmerman, and others in the president's administration of brokering the whitewash in exchange for favorable deals on oil and other goods from Tehran. Fernández and Timmerman are denying the charges, and Iran has repeatedly denied involvement in the bombing, which killed 85 people. Pelicita issued a statement recounting Nisman's accusations without providing any analysis of them and failing to go as far as his predecessor in requesting that Fernández and other officials be questioned. He concluded, however, that further investigation is necessary to achieve a degree of understanding to prove or disprove the factual and dogmatic extremes expressed in the preceding paragraphs. Pelicita will present his findings to the federal magistrate assigned to the case, who will ultimately decide whether to dismiss it or send it on to trial. Heavy artillery fire roared in the eastern Ukraine today as fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists continues, with just hours to go before a ceasefire is supposed to take effect in a conflict that has claimed more than 5,300 lives. The artillery barrage was near the town of Svitlodarsk, which is about 20 kilometers north of the strategically important railroad junction city of Debaltsev, where Ukrainian forces have been under siege by the insurgents. A rebel spokesman vowed that the Ukrainian forces will not be allowed to escape from the city, but would be offered the opportunity to surrender. Under an agreement reached on Thursday, the warring sides are to cease firing at midnight tonight. The previous ceasefire arranged in September failed to take hold, and after fighting escalated sharply in January, expectations for this new agreement are clouded. The Associated Press has compiled a special report finding that 10% of Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes on private homes in the Gaza Strip during last summer's Operation Protective Edge were confirmed terror operatives. AP reached that conclusion after examining an estimated 850 of the more than 2,200 Palestinian fatalities and also looking at 247 of the 5,000 IDF strikes during the conflict. Army spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner said that broad conclusions should not be based on the examination of just a small percentage of airstrikes. Foreign ministry officials replied that in any case, Israel did not commit war crimes and that only legitimate targets were attacked, although the terrorists used the homes to hide weapons, fighters, and command centers. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki is currently in Seoul, where he's on a 5-day visit to discuss issues of mutual interest. Maliki met with his South Korean counterpart, Yoon Byun-se, in an effort to boost bilateral relations. While official ties have yet to be established, South Korea has opened a representative office in Ramallah in 2005. The Supreme Court has rejected an appeal by the family of pro-Palestinian American activist Rachel Corrie, who was killed over a decade ago in Gaza. The family had challenged a lower court's ruling in 2012, exonerating the government of all wrongdoing. The 23-year-old activist from Olympia, Washington, was crushed to death in March 2003 while trying to block an IDF bulldozer from demolishing a Palestinian home in Rafah. The incident occurred during a time of heavy fighting between the military and Palestinian terrorists at the height of the Second Intifada, and homes in the area were frequently razed by the army that officials said were being used by terrorists to take cover. In its ruling, the court upheld the earlier findings that the state was not liable because Corrie's death occurred in a combat zone and the driver of the heavily armored bulldozer didn't see her. Corrie's mother, Cindy, said that the family is disappointed with the ruling and now considering all of its options. Former Lebanese Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri has returned to his country to mark the 10th anniversary of his father's assassination. Lebanon was sharply divided when former Prime Minister Rafik al-Hariri was killed, along with 21 others, in a massive truck bombing on a Beirut seaside road on February 14, 2005. Today marks his son Saad's second return to Lebanon after 4 years of self-imposed exile. He also visited Lebanon briefly in August after leaving in January of 2011 when his government was brought down by Hezbollah and its allies. Hariri is scheduled to give a speech later this evening at a ceremony marking the assassination of his father, who was the nation's most prominent Sunni politician. 5 members of Hezbollah, Lebanon's most powerful Shiite faction, are being tried in absentia for the bombing. Lebanese parliamentarian and former Minister Marwan Hamadeh is a leading member of the March 14th movement who survived an assassination attempt in 2004 and says that he sees Hariri's assassination as part of the first round of the global war going on in the Middle East. In a view shared by political analysts, he added that the event pushed his nation backward.
Lebanon has deteriorated massively if we measure the current situation and the time when Hariri was still alive. His assassination was meant to be the beginning of a process of deterioration in Lebanon in terms of the state itself, the government, and the relations between the different parties.
Hamadeh went on to say, however, that he remains hopeful over the future results of the Hague-based Special Tribunal for Lebanon, although many in the country don't share his optimism.
It will be the first time in the whole Middle East that an international tribunal designates a killer and probably pronounces a verdict against that killer. Doesn't mean we will be able to bring them to court. They didn't come. They have their lawyers, which the tribunal is paying for. But they will not come, and we probably will never get them. We're not looking for revenge. We haven't sent bombed cars and killing squads to take our revenge. But we want the truth, we want justice. And the weight of truth and justice in the political balance in Lebanon and the outcome of events will be very important.
The tribunal, it might charge people. I mean, they're doing their work, and they might, but and it depends on how you would define justice. So even if we know what will happen to them, the people that we know, probably nothing would happen to them, even if we know who assassinated them. What about all the other people who were assassinated?
In other regional news, any resolution to the fighting in Syria must involve Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. This from the United Nations Arab League envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura, who became the first UN official to make such a statement since the civil war broke out in the Arab Republic 4 years ago. De Mistura said that he intends to continue holding discussions with Assad and that the only solution of the conflict is political. The remarks from the Italian-Swedish career diplomat have been condemned by opposition forces battling the government regime. National coalition representatives say that de Mistura is fooling himself if he thinks that Assad is part of the solution, stressing that he is very much a part of the problem. Here at home, and this past week saw the country's leading politicians attacking the media, sparking a debate on whether the right of expression is being curbed in a democratic society. Professor Tamir Schafer of the Political Science and Communications Department of Jerusalem's Hebrew University tells IBA's Marco Dudkevich that this is not a new phenomenon.
The attack of politicians on the media is not new. It's a well-known tactic of Netanyahu for a long time, and not only of him, and it's a tactic of politicians in Israel and around the world. Netanyahu did that in '99 and even before that. I'm concerned about that, but it's a tactic to shift the focus of the election to an area which Netanyahu feels more comfortable about, and it's also a tactic to do delegitimation for everything that is published in the media against Netanyahu.
Okay, how concerned should we be about politicians attacking media outlets in general?
My concern is that if politicians will do it too much, the willingness of the people to listen, to believe to the media will decrease, and the lower the trust of the people in the media, it's not something that is good for democracy. Most people learn most of their political information from the media, and if people will not believe the media, they will not have an important or will not gain important information that is necessary for making good political decisions or well-informed political decisions. And therefore the media are very important, and attacking the media it might create a situation in which the trust in the media will decrease among the public, and this is something that is not good for democracy.
What's so bad about a paper being known for its political line? I mean, people say the public have the right to choose what they want to read.
If the paper states very clearly what it is, its position, that's fine. We know that that would happen in Israel in the past. We used to have newspapers that belong to parties, and the ideological line was very clear. You knew it from the beginning, and that's okay. My fear is that here and now in Israel, it's not always a well-defined ideological position. It's an economical position, it's a personal position, and it's not something that it put in a clear manner so that people can know. And this is something that might be a threat to democracy.
Earlier this week, Knesset member Eitan Kabel called on the Central Election Committee to require that the cost of publishing Israel Hayom be taken out of the Likud campaign budget. Is that fair?
Well, it's we are in election campaign, so it's again Netanyahu has his tactics, and Eitan Kabel and the Zionist camp are having their own tactics. Unfortunately for Kabel, this is something that is not good for the Zionist camp, because the Zionist camp needs the public agenda to focus on the economy, on social issues, on the failures of the governments. And by focusing on the press wars, this is something that really plays to Netanyahu's hands.
Some 40 Israeli Arab political activists have received training in the United States from leftist and Jewish groups, as well as top advisors to U.S. President Obama, about how to become more politically active and aggressive. This according to an Israel television report in which members of the group said that mayors from towns and villages across Israel, their deputies and other municipal officials were given instruction in how to fight for their rights. Mayor of the village of Barta, Riyad Kaba, told journalists that many doors were open to the delegation and that they learned how to compete against Jews and Israelis for funds from Washington, as well as many Democrat, Republican, and other non-governmental organizations. In a bid to boost tourism to the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority is working with the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization to add Wadi Kelt to the list of World Heritage Sites. Wadi Kelt is located between Jerusalem and Jericho and includes the renowned Greek Orthodox monastery of St. George, built into the cliffs above the Wadi at the end of the 5th century to commemorate St. Gerismo, who was a cleric from Jordan who left behind his wealth to build the monastery. It is around 5 kilometers from the river where Jesus was baptized, according to Christian tradition. The fortress palace of the Rome-appointed Jewish King Herod the Great stands nearby. Christian Orthodox believe that the monastery was built in the location of the cave where Elijah the prophet hid from Queen Jezebel. Others believe that the cave is where the parents of the Virgin Mary, Saint Joachim and Anne, were told by the angel that they would have a child.
It is a place of the history of the greatest monotheistic religions in the world, and I have to put in chronological order the Mosaic, the Judaic, the Christian, and the Muslims. So that is an important place for everybody who believe in a God to come and to visit.
Turning to arts and entertainment, and the winner is The Jews Are Coming. The satirical show, broadcast on Israel Television Channel 1, was the surprise recipient of the Best Entertainment Show on Television in 2014. At the 12th annual prize ceremony held yesterday, The Jews Are Coming unexpectedly triumphed over frontrunners and longtime favorites Eretz Nehederet, meaning a wonderful land, and The State of the Nation. The 12-episode series of satirical sketches stars Moni Moshonov and examines the history of the Jewish people from biblical times until today. The show presents Jewish stories that we all know from new and surprising angles and has apparently attracted a great deal of positive feedback to earn it the coveted Best Entertainment Award. Staying with the arts, and the Tallinn Tel Aviv Music Festival opens this Thursday. Taking place for the second time, the event features more than 100 artists, including many of the biggest names in Israeli and Estonian classical, jazz, and world music. Among the performances at the festival, Hortus Musicus, conducted by Andres Mustanen, who organized the collaboration. Hortus Musicus is a world-renowned Estonian ensemble established in 1972 that has given concerts in the U.S., Japan, and Israel. That's the Tallinn Tel Aviv Festival at the Tachana Old Railway Station in the coastal city from February 19th to the 22nd. The IBA weather team tells us that our wintry conditions are set to remain with us for the time being, and that we can expect light rain in the north this evening and scattered showers, along with the chance of thunderstorms tomorrow, with the risk of flash floods in eastern and southern wadis. Here's the forecast at home and abroad over the next 24 hours. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Hope to see you then. I'm Erin Viner, wishing you a great week, and shalom from Jerusalem.